Boy, were the Hoosiers lucky to have Trayce Jackson-Davis on Wednesday.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Oh boy, what is up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Locked On Hoosiers on this fine Wednesday night. It's almost Thursday already as we're doing this live stream. Thursday, if you guys are listening to this. Boy, Trayce Jackson-Davis saves the Hoosiers against Minnesota. We're going to talk all about him, the historic performance he just had. First, though, I want to thank you guys for making us your first listen every single day. I'm your host, as always, Jacob Rude. I'm kind of all over the place. I was anticipating a loss about 10 minutes ago. So that Trayce Jackson-Davis saved Indiana in this one, utterly unbelievable. We need to thank FanDuel, our sponsor of today's episode, our sponsor throughout the week, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. My word, I had some notes written down about what I wanted to talk about because, again, I anticipated that this was going to be a loss. Trayce Jackson-Davis, it is really hard to put into words just how good he is. My job is to talk about how good Trayce Jackson-Davis is, and I'm going to struggle because he continues to just do indescribable things. Like, we can have the arguments at some point about who Big Ten Player of the Year is, who National Player of the Year, All-American stuff. It feels trivial because what matters right now is that Trayce Jackson-Davis is playing as good as anyone we've ever seen in an IU jersey. He did it again on Wednesday, 25 points, 21 rebounds, 6 blocks. The first 2020 game he's had as a Hoosier. There isn't much left that he hasn't done for Indiana. He became just the 5th player since 2010 to have 20 points, 20 rebounds. It felt like 20 blocks, 20 points, 20 rebounds, and 6 blocks. If I do this right, I can show you the entire list because it isn't many people, and none of them, as you can see, are in a Big Six. I don't know the exact term they use. They're not in the ACC, the Big Ten, the Big East, the Pac-12, the Big 12, the SEC. They're not in any of those. So Trayce is the first one out of kind of those major conferences to do it. The 25 points is the most any of them have scored. Nobody else had more than 22. The 21 rebounds is incredible. The 6 blocks, only one other person had more. And he did it on incredible shooting. He shot better than anybody else did on this list. He bailed Indiana out. Indiana deserved to lose this game. Point blank, period. The Hoosiers did not deserve to win this game, and they only did it because of Trayce Jackson-Davis. It's a marvel. And really, everybody needs to just appreciate what you're watching in Trayce Jackson-Davis and how he's playing this season because it is phenomenal. It is literally, I don't know how many times any Indiana player has ever done something like this. We might get the stat later tonight or into tomorrow, but it is really hard to describe what he is doing. He was the one that came up with the big offensive rebound on Race Thompson's missed free throw, gets the putback to give Indiana the lead. Not only did he have 6 blocks, I forgot and didn't even write down, he became the all-time blocks leader in Indiana. A number of those blocks were huge ones down the stretch. Indiana wanted to do everything it could to lose this game on Wednesday, and Trayce would not allow them to do it. It was incredible. It was frustrating. It was everything in between. Look, if you are playing Indiana the rest of this season, zone defense, at least some zone defense, if not exclusively zone defense is what you should be running because Indiana has no clear way of attacking it. They struggled again on Wednesday against Minnesota, a Minnesota team that had 7 scholarship players. IU should not be pleased really in any way with what happened tonight. It is a road win. They are back over 500 in the Big Ten. But we spent all podcasts yesterday talking about how bad this Minnesota team is. And IU just let them hang around. They didn't even have their top scorer, arguably their best player in Dawson Garcia. And IU just let them stay in the game. And a lot of that was the zone defense they played. IU would get the ball in the middle of the zone and then leave runner like floaters or runners short. You don't have to shoot the ball when you get it there. You can make the defense collapse and kick it out. But then 3-point shooters were pump faking and not shooting. IU just doesn't ever really seem comfortable playing against a zone defense, which is remarkable because they've seen it a lot the last 2 seasons. So I'm sure they practice against it, but they need a much more clear plan on how to just attack a zone offense or zone defense, more often. On the other end, the defense was not good enough tonight. It was Minnesota. The first half, it felt like they shot a lot better. I mean, statistically, they didn't have a great night, but like you gave up some timely baskets. You gave up some timely runs. Jamison Battle goes for 20 points in this one. He was the only one you really should have been focusing on. I think he had 13 of those in the second half. Like, just it wasn't good enough across the board for Indiana on either side of the court. And it's infuriating because you had built all this momentum. You didn't lose it all because you won the game. You can, if you want to look at it glass half full, you won a Big Ten game on the road and you're back over 500. You have a 4-game winning streak. All fair takes, but some context is needed because Indiana was not good on Wednesday. They were way off the pace. There were a number of guys who just did not play well. Some of them, I don't even know how much impact they even provided. Tamar Bates played 10 minutes, did not score. Jordan Geronimo did not score. Trey Galloway did not score until the final about 3 minutes of this one. It was, earnestly, Trayce Jackson-Davis, Miller Kopp, and Malik Renew carried this team to varying degrees. Mike Woodson wasn't there. Look, I know everybody's going to share the Yazzie Roseman quote and about Trayce Jackson-Davis. If you can find 25 to 30 people better than him in the draft, he'll kiss your behind. We'll keep it PG on here. But people are going to share that. It was a funny quote. I don't know how accurate it is. That's for another debate. He was out of his element. Coach Woodson is recovering from COVID. He wasn't there. Look, there have been a lot of complaints about Mike Woodson and bad coaching, and I don't like to be this harsh on Coach Roseman because he was certainly probably not prepared for this, but he was out of his element. IU did not make a sub for the last 10 minutes of this game. I think it was a tick under 10 minutes in this game. And so in a game in which Minnesota only had 7 scholarship players, you should approach this as winning a game of attrition. You have more bodies than they do. And instead, Malik Renew, there has to be some explanation. He was arguably IU's best player in the first half, if not the second best player behind Trayce. He didn't play in the second half. I think he played for under a minute, just did not play in the second half. Jordan Geronimo played 2 minutes. Tamar Bates played 4 minutes. Jalen Hood-Schifino, Miller Kopp, Trayce Jackson-Davis did not sub out. Inexcusable. Just simply inexcusable. Unless they all are injured, completely inexcusable. I don't know what the game plan is moving forward with the coaching staff. I don't know how long Coach Woodson's going to be out, but they need to address how they approach games, basically, because That was not good enough on Wednesday. We'll talk. I have more things written down, and there's more guys I want to talk about. Before we dive into any of that, we mentioned it at the beginning. Look, I told you guys to take IU minus 9.5. I almost did it. I hope you did not. Don't take my betting advice. Fade Jacob if that's the case, because IU did not cover, didn't even really come close at all tonight. If you guys want to fade Jacob moving forward, we're really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On, because they are the number one sportsbook in America, FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, that is even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. New customers, if you join today, get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed. Just use that or that link right there, fanduel.com/lockedon for those watching on YouTube. It's simple. You make a $5 bet. Even if you bet on Indiana tonight and you got it wrong, you're still going to get $150 in free bets. So head on over to FanDuel, fanduel.com/lockedon. Get started today. Place that $5 bet. Repin all those rewards. Place the $150 against whatever I say, because I am not on a hot streak right now, and win some money. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Big thanks to you guys for making Locked On Hoosiers your first listen every single day. Be sure to check out Locked On College Basketball. Everything you need to know about college basketball in one place. Plus, hear from big-name experts, insiders, coaches, and players. Locked On College Basketball, available on YouTube and wherever you get podcasts. Let's look at a couple comments here. I've seen there was no rotation. You're right, there wasn't. The first half was a little bit better, but there was no clear rotation tonight. That was very much something that they were not prepared for. The coaching staff was not prepared for how to handle a rotation, bringing guys in, shuffling them through. They're going to need to review the tape on that before the Hoosiers' next game. We couldn't hit wide open threes, and they couldn't miss wild contested ones. I mean, fair a little bit. IU was 4-14, and 3 of those were from Miller Kopp. He was 3 of 7. The rest of the team was 1 of 7. There were some wild ones that they knocked down. They were ultimately 5 of 25 from 3, and 4 of those were from Jamison Battle. And I think 3 of those were in the second half alone. So, yeah, you're not wrong, but it was more than that. Like, IU was giving them some open looks and letting them have the belief that they could stay in this game. And if you come out and just bury them early on and take that belief away, then even if they are hitting wild 3-pointers, it doesn't hurt as much. But you let them stay in the game, and those threes become more and more frustrating. It was more of a trap game. Plus, we weren't hitting any shots from outside. Maybe. IU had been playing well enough. Minnesota was bad enough that this shouldn't feel like a trap game. Ohio State shouldn't be a game that they're like that much looking forward to. If it was Purdue on the horizon, I could understand maybe a trap game, but I don't know. I think that's a lot of letting Indiana off the hook. Indiana was not good enough tonight. They have to be better. The good news is this is kind of the outlier in their last 4 games, and before tonight, they had been good enough in the 3 previous games. So you can kind of write that off a little bit. After the game, Coach Rosemont told Don Fisher that Mike Woodson is close to a full recovery. So maybe he is back on Saturday. That would be an upgrade. We'll move on from that topic, because that was really bad. And it would have been a big reason why IU lost this game. Let's talk some other guys that aren't named Trayce Jackson-Davis. He's the first, because I'm looking at Twitter as this is going on. He is the first high major player. There's the phrase I couldn't think of. High major player since Hashim Thabit to have 25, 20, and 5 in a single game. That came in 2009. Unbelievable from him. Malik Renew, he was huge in this one, and he deserved better in that second half. this was kind of a breakout game we'd been waiting on him to have, and it was sorely needed in that first half. 10 points, 4 or 5 from the field. He looked a lot more comfortable. He only played 12 minutes. That is unfathomable to me. Unfathomable to me. He deserved better. He was really good, and he helped steady IU in that first half when they just could not get things going. He really stepped up in a big spot for the Hoosiers, and it's a couple games in a row now that he's looked better. So hopefully he's kind of broke through that rookie wall, freshman wall, whatever you want to call it, and is now able to make the impact that he was making at the very beginning of the season, because we're really hitting the home stretch, the tough stretch of the Big Ten season. His play is going to be really important. I thought Miller Kopp played well, 11 points, 4 of 9 shooting. I'd written him down, and then he spent a lot of the last 2 minutes of the game pump faking 3-pointers. He's got to take them. He's the only reliable shooter Indiana has, and if he has any space, he has to take those threes, especially against a zone defense. That's what his role should be on this team, is to be a zone buster. And he was pump faking them too much, taking runners. There was a sequence or a possession late in the game where IU was down. Trayce Jackson-Davis didn't even touch the ball. They swung it kind of to the corner to create an angle, it looked like, and then Kopp takes this kind of runner that Trayce never – that you can't happen. Like, Trayce has to touch the ball and make defenses react to him, and then you go on from there, especially tonight. So it was hit and miss from him. Race Thompson, again, statistically, not a crazy night. 4 points, only shot 4 times, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 fouls, a turnover, 3 blocks. Played 23 minutes, was a +9. I thought he played well. He's the one that probably needed to come out a bit in that second half and give him rest. Like, good Lord, he is just back from injury, and I'm sure he is feeling it tonight, but he played well. He was very, very active, which we come to know with Race. Defensively, offensively, he does all the little things. He's the glue guy, and IU missed that. Jordan Geronimo did that some, but he doesn't do what Race does, and he's impactful in that regard. He had a couple big free throws one big free throw late in the game. That chemistry he has with Trayce to be in the right spot whenever a team doubles Trayce found him, and he went to the line, tied the game, and got the Kobe assist to Trayce for the go-ahead layup. I've seen some people talk about Jalen Hood-Schifino. Is there a case for Tamar taking Jalen's spot? Absolutely not. And I understand that Jalen played rough on Wednesday. 6 points, 2 of 11 shooting, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists, 3 fouls, a turnover, 38 minutes. He is the only true point guard Indiana has. And as good as Trey Galloway and Tamar Bates have been, it's not anywhere close to what Jalen does in terms of handling the ball and bringing stability in that regard. He's not going to be benched the rest of the season. Jalen Hood-Schifino isn't. And so it's not, the 10 minutes Tamar played on Wednesday, I didn't think were great. He had 3 rebounds, but he had 2 fouls, was 0 of 3 from the field. If Tamar was playing better, then maybe, but Tamar has such a high variance between good and bad games that there's no way you can put him in the lineup over Jalen Hood-Schifino. The best player on the team that is not being played, I don't know that really applies to anybody right now. Specifically on Wednesday, it was Malik Renew. I think IU is fine with their rotation when Mike Woodson is doing things, but I'm not going to harp on that point. I don't think anybody needs to necessarily be playing more. Things are fine as is with a regular rotation that hopefully comes back on Saturday against Ohio State. So the Hoosiers escape. Trayce Jackson-Davis is him. Everything else is write this one off and let's not talk about this game ever again, other than to watch highlights of that Trayce Jackson-Davis alley-oop from Jalen Hood-Schifino. So Hoosiers will play Ohio State on Saturday. More importantly, the women's team plays Ohio State tonight in the biggest game of the season to date. Let's talk about it. Let's preview it. Let's get you set for the blackout in Assembly Hall on Thursday. The Hoosiers, the Buckeyes, 8:30 p.m. Thursday night tonight, depending on when you're watching, listening to this. It'll be at Assembly Hall. It'll be on Big Ten Network. It's a blackout. They announced it on Twitter on Wednesday night during the game. If you're going to the game, wear black. And I don't know that I remember a blackout in Assembly Hall before. So it'll be an interesting visual. That place should be sold out. Like, there is no reason for you not to go to this game. I will be at this game. It is a $10 ticket, and it is going to be one of the biggest games of the season. So I'm excited to see what that atmosphere is going to be like, because this is a women's team that is the best in program history to date. And they are taking on a Ohio State team that is number 2 in the country. As I'm recording this, about 20 to 30 minutes after the game, Trayce just tweeted out for everybody to go support IU women's team at 8:30 for the tip. So if you don't listen to me, listen to Trayce. Trayce said it. Get out there. Get to the game. It's an Ohio State team that was undefeated heading into this week. And then Caitlin Clark happened on Monday. She has a triple-double, only the second player, men or women's, to have a triple-double against a top 2 team. Dwayne Wade was the other one. He's pretty good. Caitlin Clark's pretty good too. That snapped their 19-game winning streak to start this season, and it's come against some good teams. They beat Michigan, who IU beat on Monday. They beat Oregon. They beat Louisville. They beat Tennessee to start the season. A lot of familiar foes in there. A lot of similar scorelines. So these are 2 evenly matched teams. More reason to get out there and give IU a home court advantage, because this could be, for one, it would be awesome if this place was sold out. But for 2, this could be a Big Ten kind of title deciding game, because both IU and Ohio State have 1 loss on the season. The most impressive thing about Ohio State, J.C. Sheldon, who was all Big Ten caliber last season. I think she might have been on the all tournament team. I'm not certain, but she was all Big Ten caliber last season. One of the top players coming into this season. She has played 5 games, and none of them recently. So Ohio State is doing this without an all Big Ten caliber player. There is zero clarity on J.C. Sheldon's injury. Barring something completely drastic, she's not playing against IU. She hasn't played since November 30th. So they've been doing some heavy lifting without her. Taylor Mikesell is averaging 18 points per game. They have 5 people outside of Sheldon who are averaging double figures in this game. It's a team that is going to press. They're averaging 85.6 points per game. They want to speed things up, get things going quickly. IU has had success in them against them the last couple of years, because this is a team with multiple ball handlers that can take advantage of that. And the result has been IU not just beating them the last couple seasons, but beating them kind of soundly. They won in Columbus last year. They dominated. It was one of their best wins of the season. The Hoosiers did 86-66. And then IU played them in the Big Ten tournament, beat them 70-62. So this is an IU team, I don't want to say is kind of designed to beat them, but there are a lot of strengths and a lot of favorable matchups for Indiana in this one. I'm excited. Like I said, I will be down there. I hope you guys will be down there. If you're not, tune in to the game on Big Ten Network. It's going to be a fun one. I hope it's a sold out, excited, loud atmosphere. That means we are not going to have a live show after the game tomorrow. I'm not going to do it from Assembly Hall. So there will not be a live show. It will come on Friday, though. It just won't be a live one where we'll recap that game and we'll talk about the men's game on Saturday. So thanks again for making Locked On Hoosiers your first listen every day. We will be back with you with that recap tomorrow and a preview of the men's team. For your second listen, check out our brand new podcast, Locked On College Basketball. Experts Isaac Shade and Andy Patton bring you everything you need to know on and off the court, whether it's the experts, the coaches, the players, everything throughout the basketball landscape. Locked On College Basketball has you covered. It's available on YouTube or wherever you guys are listening to this at. Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to the podcast. Leave a rating and review. All of that great stuff. Whew. Thank you, Trayce Jackson-Davis. Thank you for all of you guys who tuned in and watched tonight. Go Hoosiers. Let's pick up a memorable win on the women's side now on Thursday. And as always, LEO.